All right, it's a Sal Pal Friday here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. ESPN's national NFL reporter Sal Paolantonio. Call the Griner team at Berger Realty for all your Ocean City and Upper Township real estate needs. Over 35 years excellence. They bring you Sal Paolantonio. He's appearing thanks to them. Johnny G and the people over there at Berger, thanks to them. Appreciate that, guys, as Sal Pal is with us on a Sal Pal Friday. And that was Zubin Mehente bringing us in this hour with the legal ID, Sal. And I heard you on the KJZ show earlier this week. Sounded like a little fired up with this team, and this team was 0-2. We got a lot of issues. Where do you even start? I mean, there's a plethora of things. I mean, you got Rieger hurt, you got the quarterback, the coach, you had Jeffrey out in the field, but I guess it's got to start with Carson Wentz, right?
It does, but I think that point has been kind of belabored. But, we can go through it. I mean, if you really want to flip the script, Michael, which we like to do on the NFL matchup show. And by the way, thank you for introducing me to Johnny G at Berger Realty. We've become fast friends, and I can tell you, I'm down. I'm down at the shore, down in Ocean City, and from now on, I'm going to Johnny G without a doubt.
Johnny G's a great man, by the way. I've met him a few times.
Oh, very impressed with him and his operation down there in Ocean City. And I just sent him a copy of Philly Special, my book, signed it for him, to Johnny G. Go Birds for sponsoring the show, my appearances on the Mike Gill show. So thank you to him and to everybody at Berger Realty. But I like to, when everybody's zigging, let's zag a little bit and we'll get back to Carson Wentz, because what I've seen is troubling. But to me, you have to look at the back end of the secondary. They really miss Malcolm Jenkins. If you study them on film, and something that we do on the matchup show this week, and you look at what their problem is on the back end with Jalen Mills, it's a multiple problem. It's a communication problem. It's a tackling problem. It's a coverage problem. I am very disheartened by what I see on the back end of the defense. And it's not going to matter how many points Carson Wentz puts up or that offense puts up if they don't button it up back there. I'm telling you, people need to start focusing on a problem at the safety position that they have. It's not a small problem.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, too, because what did you make of Schwartz coming out? Basically people are saying, well, he took the blame, and then Brandon Graham said, well, I thought we were going to get cursed out, and he took the blame for us. Graham's saying, no, we played horrible, and Schwartz is saying, no, point the finger at me. My game plan was terrible.
Yeah, and we want the coach to do that. As a player, you want the coach to do that. And, Schwartz is not a guy to call out a player like that anyway. So that's not his personality, and that's why players play for him, play hard for him. I get it, but it doesn't pass the smell test, and it doesn't pass the eye test, either one. I got to tell you, they have an issue at linebacker with talent. This is something, Michael, that I have talked to you about this very program throughout the pandemic, from the draft all the way through the summer. I said, Michael, watch the linebacker position because they don't have a lot of talent or depth there. And what I saw was Sean McVay just running the big backs and getting those big backs getting to the second level and shedding tackles. And by the time they got to Jalen Mills, it was Katie bar the door.
Yeah, Mills has been interesting with the way they've used him. I've tried to keep a focus on what they're doing with him on game days. But they have a lot of money invested in that defensive line. I mean, they put most of all of their defensive money on that defensive line. Has that been the most – I mean, Wentz has been disappointing, but could you almost say the defensive line has been the most disappointing part of the team?
Right, because of what they invested.
Correct.
Now, you can make a lot of excuses for Carson Wentz, but I'm not going to do that because if he has missed 20 targets, he's been off target 20 times. 15 of those 20 were in a clean pocket. In other words, he wasn't under duress and he wasn't under pressure. Mm-hmm. 20 off-target throws is the highest in the NFL. And I talked to Dan Orlovsky about this. I talked to Matt Bowen and Greg Cosell on the matchup show, and they all say the same thing. His footwork is off, and that is part of the problem with delivery of the football. But to me, Mike, as a layperson who's watched a lot of football, I just think he has a Chuck Knobloch situation going. I think he's afraid to pull the trigger. He's got a hairy trigger finger right now.
That's no good. Last week you said, I'm concerned. And then you said, Mike, how many times have you heard me say that over the years of Sal Pal Fridays? Not many. I'm assuming the concern has not gone away with what we saw last week.
It's not. I mean, you got to win a football game this week. It really doesn't matter if you cover or not. What is it down to, 4.5, 5? What is it now?
It was 5 yesterday.
Okay. So, everybody's like, well, they got to cover and they got to blow them out. It's got to be decisive. No, they just got to win a game, and they got to not turn the ball over at the quarterback position. Let's start from scratch. Let's go back to ground zero. Let's walk before we run. No turnovers from the quarterback. An easy victory over the Bengals. And then you can build off of that. Maybe. But you still got to go to San Francisco and go to Pittsburgh, which is not going to be easy back to back. This team could easily be 1-4.
And you got Baltimore right behind those guys as well. So this game becomes big. Now, I was listening to KJZ, and I don't want to belabor the Wentz stuff, but you did say that his teammates did not talk to him after he threw the interception. And you wonder, are they starting to lose faith? And are they saying, hey, what about this guy you drafted in the second round over here? Because you see the quarterback play in this league, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Cam Newton. Hey, let's try that guy. He looks a lot like them.
All right, so here's what I saw. After he throws that interception in the end zone on the 1st and 10, Wentz comes off the field, and he doesn't interact with anybody, not coaches, not players, not coaches or players, for a solid minute, a little over a minute, which is very unusual until he goes to one of the coaches, and I couldn't recognize who it was. I'm guessing it was Press Taylor, the quarterback's coach and the offensive passing game coordinator, to look at the tablet. And, usually if a guy throws a very bad interception, when he comes off the field, guys will pat him on the helmet and say, hey, we got you back, or hey, you'll get him next time, or hey, rough throw, or whatever. But there was no interaction. I did not draw any conclusion about that on that morning show. It was Keyshawn who was wondering whether or not Wentz has lost the team.
Yes.
All I'm saying is it's an unusual sight. And Michael, here's the bottom line, right? Because we're not in the locker room this year, and maybe not next, because, I can't interact with the players on the field after practice, before the game, on the field after the game. I can't go in the locker room after the game. I can't go in the locker room during the week. You have to really rely on a lot of just observation, empirical intelligence sometimes. That could be very telling. And to me, it was very telling. It was a very unusual sight. And here's one conclusion I'll draw from it, and that is guys are just tired of their quarterback turning the ball over.
Yeah.
They're just tired of it.
Yeah, it's like
We're
the Phillies.
all tired of it, and I can just imagine how tired of it they are. I don't think they've lost confidence in him yet, but I think they're tired of him turning the ball over. And that was a really, really bad turnover.
Yeah, like the Phillies bullpen. It's like you get a lead, and then it's like you know what's going to happen. I would imagine they feel the same way right now with the way this is going. However, Sal Pal Friday, Sal Paolantonio is with me. Last year, the last 4 games, they really simplified things because of injuries. They're going to have to do it again. A lot of 12. You're losing Rieger. Jeffrey's not ready to play.
Yes.
Is this the perfect way to get him back on track?
Yes, absolutely. Hey, Boston Scott and Greg Ward and 2 tight ends and a cloud of dust. That's what worked last week. But last year they played the Giants twice, right? That helped.
Yep.
So now you got the Bengals coming in. But then after that, you can't look beyond this game because, you can't go 0-6.
Ooh, that would be brutal. If that was the case, would there be surprising changes?
The whole Jalen Hurts thing. So, people always ask me, what's the difference? What are the biggest differences between the 4-game win streak and this absolutely abysmal play by number 11, because it's an historic, abrupt turnaround. One, concussion. How has that affected his ability or willingness to get out of the pocket? Don't know. We don't know the answer to that. We'll never maybe know the answer to that because no one's really going to tell us the truth about that. Two, the drafting of Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
How much pressure has that put on him? How much has that angered him? How much has that made him press? Those are the one and two things that I can think of. The other, number three, Michael, is they have a coaching by committee situation. They don't have a named offensive coordinator who's got his fingerprints and his imprint on this offense. They got Rich Scangarella. They got Marty Morningwig. They got Press Taylor. They got Doug Peterson, the wide receivers coach. You know, Carson Wentz wants his role in picking the game plan and selecting the plays. You know, a lot of cooks.
Yeah. All right, Sal Pal, we'll get your keys to this week's game and your pick. Obviously, it's a big one. It's by the way, the spread. It opened at 5.5. It's 4.5 now.
Yeah, I thought it was down to 4.5.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got that again. You've got negative line movement. The Eagles have had negative line movement in their first three games. That's not good, Michael. That's just not good.
Yeah, it seems like people are starting to catch on with this team. We're typically in this area, everybody goes with the home team. We'll see. So, all right, you got a banged-up Bengals team here. You got a banged-up Eagles team. A couple keys to this game.
Right, so if you had a banged-up Bengals team with a rookie quarterback, it's the Bengals. Coming into Lincoln Financial Field, you would think they would be a 7 or 8 point underdog to the Eagles. So they're not, and that tells you a lot. And I think the Eagles are going to struggle again to score points. I just do. I think the three keys to the game, one, I mentioned it, Michael, and we bang the drum on this all the time. The quarterback's got to stop turning the ball over. He's got to be super conservative. You talked about it. Strip down the game plan. This is key number two. Get Boston Scott and Greg Ward involved. Both of them have really good hands. They're good route runners. They're in the right place at the right time all the time. And your two tight ends. Strip it down. And three is make sure that whoever's playing wide receiver for the Bengals, make sure they don't get deep on you, because Burrow does have an arm. He's got a cannon. So those are the three things. And I'm going to say the Eagles are going to win this game 23-13. I think the Eagles are going to cover in this game. I do.
All right, let's see it all unfold over at Lincoln Financial Field. Again, no fans in attendance, although you made your way into the bleachers last week. I saw you on the Fox broadcast.
Yeah. Well, I made a contribution to the Eagles Autism Foundation. I got one of those cardboard placards, and I put a little quote bubble on it. Said, I texted Doug Peterson. Did you see that?
It's a Sal Pal Friday in the books for this Friday. Sal Pal goes 23-13 Eagles. I like that. That's a good one. All right, Sal.
Well, hey, even though it's 0-2, we got to still have fun. It is football. It's supposed to be, entertainment and a diversion from real life. But boy, oh boy.
Yeah. Well, let's get it back on track. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, brother.
All right, Sal Pal Friday here on the Sports Bash.